A massive injury boost for West Ham, or is it? Now, it's clear as day that what West Ham were lacking in the game against Manchester United yesterday, I think we were just lacking simply the one man only, Lucas Paquetá, the creativity from the midfield, the creativity from the deep lying area, the creativity that he just brings himself, the aura around the pitch. But it's not just what he brings himself, what he brings to the team, the connections he makes with the players, the connections he makes with the fans, the connections that he just brings to West Ham. Lucas Paquetá was key for us and has been key for us since he's joined the club. And missing him, like we have been, has been really detrimental to our season. Yes, fans don't like it when you hear us talking about one player and one player only, but that is just the part of the system we're in. That's just simply how it is at West Ham right now. We are relying on one, two, or even three players, but particular this guy Paquetá because of this sheer amount of clever football he brings and clever, creative balls that he can penetrate defenses with. Now, David Moyes has said that he is hopeful that Lucas Paquetá could return to action inside a fortnight, and what would be a huge boost for West Ham and for our chances of trying to push a little bit up the league and for a European push. Now, Paquetá has not featured since limping off with his calf problem earlier in the FA Cup third round tie at Bristol City at the start of January. We are now at the start of February. The initial, the sign was potentially 4 weeks, could have been up to 8 weeks. And the Brazilian on that occasion had just returned from a similar issue suffered against Arsenal late last year. And Moyes revealed earlier this week that the injury is proving a little bit more complex than first thought. However, speaking after getting beat from Manchester United 3-0 on Sunday, he offered a little bit more of an upbeat result of Paquetá's potential return to West Ham. He said, "We're hoping that Paquetá is only a 1 week or two away from returning." West Ham have struggled to balance our attack without Paquetá. Now we've got Bowen and Kudus back, and we've been really lacking them when they were missing for the couple of games that they were. Of course, Kudus away in the African Cup of Nations. Moyes added in the game as well. We haven't got into our rhythm, mainly because of some of our boys being away in the African Cup of Nations and because 2 or 3 of the injuries. And if we look up to our form up until around the 1st of January, we've been very good, but we've knocked off by those things that we just can't get the balance in our team right on the left-hand side. That's an interesting point of view as well, but we really have missed Paquetá, the creativity that he brings to this team. I don't need to bring it to you again. The thing is, though, when will he be fit and how many games are we looking at him missing? Now, West Ham take on Arsenal at home on Sunday, the 11th of February, 2 o'clock kickoff. After that, we then travel to Nottingham Forest on the 17th. So we've got another week's break before we travel to Nottingham Forest, with another week's break again coming until we meet Brentford. So the next 3 to 4 games for West Ham are really vital because they really start to define where you are going to be in this season. As things stand, West Ham finished off the weekend, finished in 7th place. So we've dropped a position. Manchester United have overtaken us by 2 points. Of course, just below us is Brighton, Newcastle, Wolves, and of course Chelsea. But Wolves, Newcastle, and Brighton in particular, all picking up points and all starting to look like they're trying to find a little bit of form. And if you actually look at those tables from the teams from, say, 6th place down to 11th place, they're so sporadic in form. But what we don't want to do is find ourselves dropping amongst the teams that are finding a little bit of form, and by the next 3 games find ourselves sitting in 11th in the bottom half of the table. Now, there's no concerns in terms of relegation. Of course there's not. We're going to be fine and dandy with regards to that situation, but what we don't want to do is lose sight of what we're trying to achieve. 4 seasons on the trot in European football, we've still got a tough task of this last 16 of the Europa League, and nothing's a given, and having no backup to these kind of players when they go injury just defines why the silly January transfer window was an awful time for us at West Ham, and we just need to hope and pray that we can keep the players fit when they come back. We need to not make the mistake that we had when it comes to rushing players back when they're not ready. When I think of Paquetá against Arsenal, was that the defining moment as to why he has had this longer term injury coming back against Bristol City too early, limping off and having a major impact against West Ham? What we don't need to do is rush him back if we don't need to. It's not ideal. We've still got a little bit of time, but let's not rush him back for Arsenal if he doesn't need to. Then what do we do for that game? Well, I don't really know, to be honest. We'll have to talk about that when the game comes up, and it will be coming up in due course very, very shortly. But what we do need to do is try and build a little bit of momentum, try and build a little bit of, positivity in and around the club, build up a bit of form, and try and get back to those ways of getting results and grinding out results, because over the last couple of weeks, it's not been great. We've been lacking players. We've been lacking creativity. We've been lacking penetration through those defense lines and struggling defensively ourselves. We need to get back on track. Hopefully the trajectory is looking better. Kudus will be 2 or 3 games into his mix. Jared Bowen, hopefully Antonio coming back, Paquetá. And when I say hopefully Antonio coming back, I can't even believe I'm saying it, but we're in the situation we're in, and we need an Antonio in our team right now that can cause defensive problems, because right now we're playing one way only, and we need to sort out something a little bit different. Having Paquetá back for West Ham would be huge, but we don't have a defined date yet. However, Moyes has given us that update saying that he expects him to be back within a fortnight, and that would bring him just perfectly in time for the Nottingham Forest game. Touch wood. Leave your comments. Join Rusty B later on. Come on, you irons.